Welcome to a Biblical Perspective podcast, where God's point of view matters. I'm your host, Prophet C.T. Johnson. This podcast is designed to expand you beyond the mind's cultural and theological limitations about the Bible and what it teaches. Prepare for the challenge of becoming a critical thinker, analyzing life from God's perspective. Boldly and unapologetically, I'll address the ills and issues of our day, using scripture as the frame of reference. Get ready to empower your thinking and change your life. Now, let's hear what God has to say. Well, greetings, family. This is Prophet C.T. Johnson. Welcome to a Biblical Perspective podcast. It's been a while since a new episode. However, with good reason, I want to share some exciting developments regarding the future of our podcast. After much reflection, consideration, and of course, prayer, we've decided to embark on a transformative journey. Beginning April 8th of this year, 2024, next month to be exact, our current podcast, A Biblical Perspective, will evolve into a new show called Empower Your Thinking. I believe this shift will allow us to explore a broader range of topics and engage with you, our audience, in a more dynamic and inclusive manner. So I am, as the old saying, hippopotamus happy about the direction, the new season that the Lord is taking the podcast into. Also, reminder for those of you whom are diehard fans and supporters of the podcast and even the ministry, C.T. Johnson Ministries. Many of you recall in 2022, I published my second book that's entitled Empower Your Thinking. And this book was different for me because it's a book of quotes. And the purpose of the quotes are to shift consciousness, to provoke thought, and increase understanding as it pertains to you regarding who God has made you, how he has created and fashioned you to operate and to function in alignment with his purpose for your life. And within the book, I state, and I quote, "A changed life is the consequence of an empowered mind," end of quote. If you fail to change your thinking, if you fail to empower your consciousness, then your life will remain stagnant and complacent. And so the podcast will align with the concept of the book, Empower Your Thinking. And so I am, again, hippopotamus happy about where God is taking the podcast. And so I want to share with you what you can expect from the new podcast, Empower Your Thinking. There are 4 things in particular that I want to highlight and share with you on today to build expectation within you for this transition that will take place again on April the 8th. Also, I am doubly excited about the launch date of the new podcast because 2 years ago, next month will be 3 years ago, we launched A Biblical Perspective on CPN, Charisma Podcast Network. And the podcast has been aired in over 40 countries. Isn't that worthy of praise and glory unto God? I am humble. I am so grateful to the Lord as well as to you, the listeners whom have supported A Biblical Perspective since its inception and launch in April of 2021. So April the 8th, 2024, we are transitioning from A Biblical Perspective to the new format, the new show, Empower Your Thinking. And so I'm excited because next month will mark 3 years since the podcast has been live and on the air, since we have been in these podcast streets, as it were. So I'm excited about that. Now let's get into what you can expect from the new podcast. Well, the first thing is expanded horizons. While our previous podcast offered insights from a biblical lens, Empower Your Thinking will broaden its scope. So for those of you whom love the fact that our podcast, which distinguishes our podcast from many, many others that are on all of the various podcast platforms, is that a biblical perspective, our assignment as we tackled an array of subjects and topics, was to always ensure that you walked away with the Father's perspective, with the perspective of Jesus Christ, the point of view of the Lord Jesus, who is the creator of all creation. We are often informed concerning the opinions and the perspectives and the point of views of so many persons, which is good. It helps us to remain balanced and to remain well-rounded, I should say, as it pertains to how we perceive what's happening in our world, in our nation, in our country. But the opinion and or the point of view that holds weight is that of the Lord Jesus Christ. I don't care what someone says. The point of view, the perspective that holds the greatest weight, that is most valuable and invaluable, is God. What does God say about whatever it is we're dealing with, we're facing, whether it's spiritual, whether it's economic, whether it's domestic, whether it's health, whether it's whatever. And so as we transition from a biblical perspective to Empower Your Thinking, that will remain our core. We will always view what we're discussing through a biblical lens. All right. However, we're going to explore strategies, insights, and mindsets for personal growth, for professional, I got tongue tied, for professional development and sharpening cognitive abilities. Okay. Now, I don't want you to miss that. I want you to take in. I really want what I'm saying to settle with you, to resonate with you as it pertains to the expanded horizons of our podcast. We're going to provide you strategies and insights and help to expand your mindset for your personal growth, for your professional development, and for sharpening cognitive abilities. One thing that the church, that Christians fail to realize, is that God is a thinker. God is cerebral. All right. And we are made in his likeness and in his image. We are of his DNA. We are the offspring of the Godhead. And so as he is, so are we in this world. God is intelligent, so we should be intelligent, right? God is a thinker, so we as his offspring, we should be thinkers as well. So I want you to prepare for empowering discussions that will shatter limiting beliefs and unlock your full potential. There's so much that is within each and every one of you: potential, gifts, abilities, strengths, much of wealth, much wealth, much worth God has planted on the inside, that he has imparted within all of us. And many of you, you need a coach, you need a mentor, you need someone that will help you to, first of all, tap into that reality and that understanding that you have much within you that God has given for the purpose of you benefiting and enhancing the lives that he will grace you to connect with and to touch. And I want to be that coach, that mentor through this medium of podcasting, through our transition into the Empower Your Thinking podcast. So the second thing that you can expect from our transition is inspiring content. With our revamped format, expect content that informs, uplifts, and challenges you to think outside of the box, right? We're going to dive into thought-provoking discussions. We're going to have actionable tips that you can actually actionize and appropriate. All right. Also, inspirational stories that will fuel your journey of self-discovery and empowerment. Plus, you know how we have done in the past with our current podcast, A Biblical Perspective, as it pertains to special guests. So Empower Your Thinking is not going to be any different as it pertains to having empowering, powerful men and women from all over, from across the globe. Literally, we're going to have special guests that are going to share their wisdom and their experiences, further enriching our conversation. So you do not want to miss what is on the horizon. So that's the second thing that you can expect: inspiring content. Now, the third thing that you can that you can expect, I'm getting tongue tied again because I'm excited. If you have not been able to detect that as of yet, I'm excited about what God is doing. So the third thing, consistent scheduling. Listen, now I have not done the best as it pertains to releasing consistent podcast episodes or consistent episodes. But I promise you, as we make this transition, and this is why I haven't released a new episode since January of this year, when I did a brief episode as it pertains to saying Happy New Year to you and just greeting you all, because I have been working diligently to make what we are currently discussing a reality in regards to the transitioning of the podcast. But the third thing that you can expect is consistent podcasts, consistent episodes. Okay. I promise you that I'm going to maintain consistency. And in order to do that, to maintain consistency and reliability to you, our audience, we are going to introduce a episode schedule, or episode schedules, I should say. We're going to introduce a new episode schedule, which simply is my promise to you starting April 8th that you can expect fresh episodes at least once a week. Okay. Mark my words. Prophet Johnson makes the commitment to you in our launch, in our transition of our new podcast, Empower Your Thinking. I'm going to commit to releasing new episodes, fresh content once a week, minimum once a week. So you may get 2 in 1 week. You may get 3 in 1 week, but you will definitely get one new podcast episode a week beginning April the 8th. All right. And then the fourth and final thing that you can expect from the new podcast is that your feedback matters, which it has always mattered, but I am working diligently with my team to ensure that in this new phase and new season of our podcast, that I have access to you, our listeners and supporters, and even more importantly, that you have access to me. Okay. Your feedback and your input, please know that it means the world to me as we embark on this exciting new chapter. I'm eager to hear your thoughts, your suggestions, and ideas for upcoming shows. All right. I want to know, what do you want to talk about? What do you want to have me and guests address? And then there will be opportunities coming up where you, the listener, will be able to actually have a discussion, a live discussion with me. Well, when I say live, we'll pre-record it, but it will be the discussion, the interaction will be aired on the podcast. And so there will be opportunities for you to be a special guest on the podcast, Empower Your Thinking. All right. But I want you to know that I definitely want to hear from you all as we are moving forward in this change, in this shift, in this evolution of our new podcast. You can inform me of your thoughts and your suggestions and your ideas. Now, how can you do that? Glad you asked. 2 simple ways that you can let me know what you want to discuss, what you want to hear me address, what you want me and our special guests to discuss and to talk about. You can do that by emailing me at info@ctjohnson.org. That's info, INFO, at ctjohnson.org. Make sure in the subject line you put suggestions, listener suggestions or listeners' thoughts, so that I or my staff, when we are going through our email, we can look at the subject line and know, okay, this is one of our listeners, one of our supporters that is sharing an idea, a thought, and or a suggestion for the podcast. So you can email me again, the email address info@ctjohnson.org, or one of the most quickest way for those of you whom are social media savvy is through IG, through Instagram. Now, there has been a slight change to my Instagram account. We have changed our IG handle from C. Terrell Johnson to I Empower Lives. This is my personal IG account that I handle. And so you can hit me up there. You can DM me, as they say, and I will respond either personally, which most cases it will be me, or a member of the staff. But you can DM me. I want you to connect with me there. So if you're not following me, if you have already followed on IG, then the changing of our handle did not do anything as it pertains to our followers. You're still following me. The handle has changed from C. Terrell Johnson to I Empower Live. So make sure that you go and follow me on IG, follow me on Instagram at I Empower Lives. And you can DM me there, reach out to me there, let me know, again, topics and discussions that you want to hear, that you want us to have as we are making this transition. I'm excited about it. I'm excited about what God is doing. He has been just blowing my ear up, as it were, with what he is rolling out in this new year, in this new season. And so I'm excited about it. And I'm excited about you all being with me on this journey. And I'm looking forward to great things. Looking forward to growth, looking forward to our podcast growing, to our viewership growing, to our listening audience growing. I am believing God by faith and through works, because faith without works is dead, that we're going to develop sponsorships, that we're going to, as we make this transition, positioning and posturing ourselves to receive further support and undergirdment financially, so that we can expand our reach via this medium of podcasting. Okay. I'm deeply grateful for your continued support and loyalty throughout this transition. Please know that Prophet Johnson is sincerely appreciative for those of you whom have been rocking with me since 2021, when we launched A Biblical Perspective. I have heard from many of you. You've emailed me, and I am so grateful to you. I bless you for your support, and I encourage you to continue supporting and share the word. Let your fellow friends and family know, those whom love podcasts, that, hey, A Biblical Perspective podcast is transitioning as of April the 8th to empower your thinking. And if you thought A Biblical Perspective was wonderful, then hold on to your seatbelts, or hold on to your hair, hold on to whatever it is, because we're going to have an even greater experience. Okay. Thank you. Sincerely, thank you for being a part of our podcasting journey. Know that it's going to get gooder. It's going to get better. I'm thrilled to embark on this empowering new chapter of growth and discovery alongside you, my listeners. So I want you again to share the word. April the 8th, we'll be launching our new format. A Biblical Perspective podcast is transitioning to empower your thinking, April the 8th. And every week, once a week minimum, you will receive fresh new content. All right. That's my commitment to you. Also, again, go to my website, ctjohnson.org, and purchase your copy of my newest book, Empower Your Thinking, Volume 1, Quotes to Shift Consciousness, Provoke Thought, and Increase Understanding. All right. The book and the podcast, they both will help you to transition your consciousness to that of a winner and conqueror, to become a person that's empowered to empower. That's our new mission. Well, really, that's been my assignment throughout my entire ministry. And that is to empower your thinking to change your life, to empower you that you may empower others. So, purchase the book, ctjohnson.org, and look forward to a new sound. Okay. With a new podcast, we're revamping everything. So we're going to have new graphics. We're going to have a new intro music. It's going to be wonderful. So stick with me, stick with the prophet, because you don't want to miss what is on the horizon as of next month. Okay. Know that I love you. Make sure that you are following the podcast, that you have subscribed to the podcast, and that you've rated the podcast. Now, let me say this real quick before we go. All previous episodes of A Biblical Perspective will remain live and on all podcast platforms. We're not removing any of the previous episodes. Okay. We're just transitioning. So as we transition, the name will change. You'll see, if you are already subscribed to A Biblical Perspective, you'll see when the name changes as of April 8th from A Biblical Perspective to Empower Your Thinking. The graphics will change. Other aspects of the podcast will change in regards to contact information to some extent. But the point that I'm endeavoring to make is that you still will have access to all of the previous episodes, from our very first episode to our last episode, as A Biblical Perspective. Okay. So we're not deleting, we're not removing, we're not taking down any of the podcasts. So for those of you whom have your favorite episode as it pertains to the Halloween episode, that's one of our highest listened to episodes, when we talked about the attire of hell, when we had Prophet Tamara Alexander as our special guest. That was one of your favorite episodes, most listened to, and several others. So we're not removing any of the previous episodes. The old episodes under A Biblical Perspective will remain as we transition on April 8th into Empower Your Thinking, our new format, our new show. And as we begin to push out and roll out new episodes, you'll still have the old ones to go back to and listen to. All right. So I'm excited as we move into year 4 of podcasting on next month. Continue to stick with me and spread the word that A Biblical Perspective is phasing out, and we are launching a new format, a new podcast, Empower Your Thinking. Empower Your Thinking. I'm going to help you tap into the conqueror, tap into the winner that Christ created you to be in every aspect of your life. Spiritually, that's first and foremost. Yes, I know I said it 3 times. Spiritually, economically, emotionally, mentally, domestically, in every aspect of your life, you're going to become the winner and the conqueror that Jesus Christ created you to be. All right. I love you. And when the next time you hear this voice, it will be as the host of Empower Your Thinking. And I can't wait. Great things await us in this new season. This is Prophet C.T. Johnson. I love you. Be empowered. Thanks for listening to A Biblical Perspective podcast. If today's episode empowered you, subscribe and rate the podcast at cpnshows.com, Apple Podcast, or wherever you listen. For more information about C.T. Johnson Ministries International, visit the website at ctjohnson.org or text CTJM to 54244 to stay in the know. And connect with me on Instagram and Twitter at C. Terrell Johnson, on Facebook and YouTube at CT Johnson Ministries. Tune in next time as I continue to empower your thinking from God's perspective.